Weight Watchers to WW, a complete rebranding effort that changes not just the name, but what the company stands for. Learn what you can do right from the beginning to avoid the need for such an expensive exercise. Why Weight Watchers had to rebrand to WW or die. Hey everyone, it's Canon Wing from Inspiration to Millions. Did you ever happen to watch any of those old Spice ads featuring Isaiah Mustafa like a few years ago? It was the coolest thing back then. There was Mustafa being all sorts of random. He was in a shower, then suddenly on a boat, and without warning getting on a horse. The tagline was the unashamed conceit of a gorgeous man, confident in his own skin. The man your man could smell like. Here's why I'm talking about an ad from years and years ago, because it was a very successful attempt at rebranding. And today I'm going to talk about rebranding in general and the rebranding of Weight Watchers in particular. About 25% of my business every year comes from rebranding projects. It's always about me working to correct or to salvage something from someone else's branding mistakes. And I have to tell you, it's always a bloodbath. It's like I'm the EMT who gets called on to resuscitate and rescue brands. The companies have already invested so much time, money, and energy, put all of their resources into building a brand, all of their heart and soul, only to find that some fundamental mistakes were made. While successful rebranding is possible, branding the right way from the beginning is best. This way, it's easier to be consistent. With rebranding, no matter what, you lose a massive amount because the consistency of your brand message is always compromised. It's like, whoops, you realized you built yourself into a brick wall and now you've got to go completely around it. And you have to wonder how many of your customers are willing to go around that brick wall with you when they could easily just go to the next brand. So in today's episode, we're going to prevent all of that mess for you. Now, Weight Watchers is embracing the diminutive WW with the tagline, Wellness That Works. And today we'll discuss how good a move this is and whether it could be a case of too little too late. Ideally, rebranding should help you reach new audiences, clarify and refine your brand message, bring your brand up to date, and help it stand out, all while staying consistent across all channels of communication. So, does the W rebranding do that? Let's take a look. Does the rebranding focus energy on building the new, or is it engaged in fighting the old? So we will, of course, talk about Weight Watchers and get right into what I think will work, what will not, and why. But first, let's take a minute to discuss the Old Spice rebranding. Let's see how the ads featuring Isaiah Mustafa and the larger rebranding exercise successfully turned the existing brand message on its head. Previous to this rebranding exercise, Old Spice aftershave was very much like the gift you gave your granddad. It was the thing that the older demographic reached out for out of sheer habit, rather than because they were making a conscious buying choice. This brand image people had of Old Spice as being somehow old is what the company set out to change. These Isaiah Mustafa TV commercials were quirky, they were funny, whimsical, like completely random. I mean, they seemed random, these ads featuring a hot guy, very, very different from the guy who was the Old Spice target demographic. By virtue of those ads, Old Spice suddenly appealed to a whole new demographic. Younger people, people into sports celebrities, and those who viewed themselves as, hip, trendy, and cool. Young at heart. The fact that they put Mustafa and his abs on the map as well was just a side benefit. I always thought of this brand transition to be really clever, really effective, and this was a worldwide branding exercise. There were similar ads that were created for other markets as well. In India, for instance, they roped in one of the country's most debonair models to appear in similar ads. Milind Soman was at that point India's top male model, and a gorgeous guy like that helped completely revamp the product's brand image. So getting back to Weight Watchers, rebranding is about regrouping, reinventing, and redefining. Is Weight Watchers doing just that? Consider what Weight Watchers has stood for all these years. It's about dieting, eating less, losing weight, about getting points, sticking to the plan, and ultimately achieving some weight or dress size goal. and look at the brand story that it started out with some 5 decades ago. There was Jean Nidesh, formerly Fat Housewife, company founder and face of the brand back in the day. The message was, if you're overweight, you're unworthy, inadequate, or flawed. To be whole and worthy, you need to lose weight, get to a certain size. This type of fat shaming, we're calling it sizeism now, is simply not a part of our collective psyche anymore, thank goodness. Now it's more about health, fitness, stamina, strength, wellness, not just size and weight. Now we live in more evolved times. We're more sensitive, more aware, and better informed. This brand message simply does not resonate anymore. In fact, it does the opposite. Because branding is all about being the vibe you want to attract. In a sense, the Weight Watchers brand had become synonymous with body shaming and about making people feel inadequate. The brand and Oprah, who became the face of the brand, came in for some sharp criticism. For a long time, we've seen a growing disconnect between the brand and its target demographic. The straw that really broke the camel's back was when they offered a free summer membership to teens. This prompted a strong social media backlash to what the brand has stood for. People were tweeting with the hashtag, "Wake up, Weight Watchers." They were telling young people that they didn't have to spend their summers counting calories and collecting meaningless points. More seriously, the connection between dieting and eating disorders was being highlighted. People were sharing their personal stories of struggling with weight, having body image issues, and having generally messed up relationship with food. Weight Watchers is hugely influential, and a lot of this was being laid squarely at their door. Mental health professionals were coming out and speaking about kids being taken to Weight Watchers, going on to develop eating disorders. This kind of ill feeling and alienation of their target demographic is completely disastrous for a brand. Even the Oprah magic ceased to work. There has been a whole perceptual shift. Dieting is not even the word people use anymore. We're now talking wellness. We're now talking holistic well-being. We're now talking health and fitness. We're no longer caught up in sizes and pounds and all these numbers. There were 3 main things that Weight Watchers did wrong. First mistake, the name, Weight Watchers. They thought small. They thought now. They didn't think long term. Their name only spoke about weight loss. It wasn't an inclusive name. The name Weight Watchers did not stand the test of time. It did not evolve with people's sensibilities. The mistake they made with the name in 1963 will cost them millions of dollars now. Second mistake, they didn't listen to the customers. Campaigns involving counting points and calories alone, dieting and staying hungry in order to melt fat, targeting teens for weight loss, attracted criticism from professionals and the anger of the customer as well. This had been happening for a long time, but the company really wasn't listening. They did not act on the backlash, and that was quite a severe backlash. Third mistake, the company concentrated on chasing profits rather than adding value. In 2016, the American Academy of Pediatrics released a clinical paper stating that calorie restriction with the goal of weight loss, what we call dieting, is a risk factor for the development of eating disorders and obesity. Despite claims that watching weight is no longer what the program is about, and recent changes to their point system, Weight Watchers was not shy about making announcements about their profit motive. Their stated aim is to help grow sales more than 67% from 2016 to over $2 billion by the end of 2020. Branding is about knowing what you stand for and bringing it to life. So what could Weight Watchers have done differently? Firstly, they should have thought big, thought global when choosing a name, and so should you. They need to keep sensitivities and sensibilities in mind when naming, without antagonizing or upsetting people. Weight Watchers has a presence in about 30 countries, but they continue to think local and not on a global scale. There's language and cultural differences, languages, traditions, and meanings which they were perhaps not as sensitive to as they could have been. Secondly, and most importantly, branding has to be a conversation, not a dictation. The only way a brand can grow and establish itself in the minds of its target customers is by listening to them and giving them what they need. An excellent example is the way that Domino's Pizza completely revamped its products as a result of the brand really listening to its customers when they said that Domino's pizza crust tasted like cardboard. That's a pretty hard thing to listen to. They reinvented the brand and the product. They changed their taste. They listened. They were humble. Don't be a Weight Watchers. Be a Domino's. Listen to what's missing and remedy that. Know what's working and reinforce that. Strengthen that. Thirdly, Weight Watchers should have added value. The only way to make a brand a leader, an inspiration, is to add value to customers. Give them what they need before they know they need it. If chasing profits is the sole goal, even to the detriment of customers' well-being, the company won't be looked up to for long. Check your branding strategy today. Is your name, your logo, your tagline timeless? Or could it become unfashionable or irrelevant in times to come? Is it open for expansion, growth, and greatness? Does it conform to social sensibilities and scientific ideas? Keep listening to your customers. There's lots of ways you can do this. Follow what's being said about you in social media. Ask questions. Set a Google alert for your company name each time you're mentioned online. Check out trending hashtags that are relevant to your brand and get a sense of what your ideal audience is saying and thinking and wanting. Read product reviews and feedback. You could also learn a great deal from reading competitors' reviews to get an idea about what's missing in their brand that you can provide. Send out surveys and examine sales trends. What's selling? What's next up line in the category for customer ascension? Listen, really listen. Be the brand that catches their attention and retains their loyalty. Be like Amazon. They listened when their customers told them they wanted groceries delivered, not just electronics and apparel and everything else. And they started doing that. Is there something that your customers want that you should be providing? Is there something that they will need soon, but they don't know they need yet? I'm going to be keeping a close eye on the Weight Watchers rebrand. We'll talk more about it in future episodes. Meanwhile, thank you for staying with me today. Let me leave you with this one thought. Don't aim to just find ways to dispose of what you make. Aim to create genuine value for customers. Become the brand that listens better than anybody else in your marketplace, because that's how you add value. That's how you become a leader, how you stay a leader. Simply love what you do and love how you do it. Thanks for watching. Don't miss out on a single thing. Subscribe below. And here's something else I think you'll love.